That's it.
Okay, so Scott Parsons,
Here.
Mark Thomas,
Here.
Kenya Allen.
Here,
Okay, so we have 3 board members present, which makes a quorum, and the meeting can begin.
All right, and I don't see any citizen attendance, do you?
No,
Well, I can probably then save you all from hearing me repeat all the instructions that I normally would give. So, because we know the protocol pretty well as a group here. If we see a citizen come on, I can always give a quick admonishment of some of the procedures. So welcome everyone to the Outreach and Community Engagement Committee meeting for August 16th, and welcome. Do we have any announcements from anyone in attendance at this point? I do have an announcement, that a little piece of what I would call as good news, that had I not been with CAB and with Outreach, I probably wouldn't have had the awareness to see what I'm about to share occur. But our Rotary Club, a Lamaranda Sunrise Rotary that meets every Friday at 7 a.m., the Breakfast Club, has traditionally done scholarships for, and then there's one for St. Mary's, there's a number of them for the junior college level or community college level. So DVC and those here in Contra Costa, and we've done a couple in Alameda County. Also, we have what's called traction grants for foster kids that are actually migrating out of foster care, and they work at the Family Harvest Farm out in Pittsburgh, and we've been able to, as a Rotary Club, give to those. In any event, because of my awareness around the importance of reentry and helping incarcerated people to get traction and not reoffend and come back into the system, we are exploring, and I think we have kind of a unanimous support from the board of the Lamaranda Sunrise Rotary to have scholarships for people that are going through the reentry process. So we're meeting, when I get back from France in September, I'm going to be meeting with some of the board members and at DVC with James Blair to start to formalize the process for our club to help fund a scholarship for the community college district for a person reentering after incarceration. So we're kind of excited about it. And
Wow.
yeah, it's kind of cool. And, had I not had the awareness that I've learned from this board, I don't know that I would have even thought of such a thing. But anyway, any of you that want to give us a little advice along the way, I'll certainly be open to it. The initial meeting, as I said, will be in September. So that's the only announcement I have. And I didn't hear anyone else having announcements, correct? Okay, that's said.
May I just ask a question?
Oh,
Kenya's had maybe more experience at that junior college level. Maybe she's got some input for you, because I know she started us on that whole thing when I wound up at the junior college. So, hey, chime in, Kenya. Hey, what do we need him to do?
okay, say that again. What is?
Yeah,
What-
well, do you have any suggestions specifically, or you might want to think of some that may assist Scott's group regarding scholarships for those in the reentry system? And the same would apply to Joel. Boy, Joel, you're right in the thick of things at Contra Costa College. Maybe some suggestions as to what Scott and his group might do in order to bring funds to the junior college system. Now, is this just Diablo, Scott, or does this
No.
include?
No, this would be the Contra Costa campus in San Pablo and whoop, I'm pulling a blank. What's the one in Pittsburgh?
Richmond?
Los Medanos.
Los Medanos, thank you.
Yeah, I
They're,
came in late, so I don't know.
they're
what-
connected. They're like sister, they're the same. You could go
Okay,
either one.
Yeah,
But there is a scholarship office that has a director and everything. When I was going there, they developed that.
mhm.
And so that's a really good resource to go to. That was how I got a lot of my scholarships and odd ones too. Like there were scholarships for former foster care students that I got, and just all kinds of different types of scholarships. So I believe like you wouldn't have any problems like getting it there with certain, going to the director of there. Maybe I'll try to see if I could see who's the director now.
Sarah Marciano. I missed like the conversation, so I'm a little off base is what I would say. But anybody at Contra Costa, I know the whole team. You could just like let me know, and I'll get it done for you.
Well, I appreciate that very much, Joel and Kenya. And I think the gentleman, James Blair, is kind of the designee for DVC, but to your point, Kenya, since they're all really sister campuses, right? They're all under the umbrella of Contra Costa Community College District. We may have to follow up with a more senior figure, right? That covers all three schools. But anyway, Joel, I was just under announcements announcing that the Rotary Club that I'm a part of is expanding their scholarship programs to the Community College District of Contra Costa for people that are re-entering after incarceration. So that's going to be our focus with it.
Yeah, I could definitely connect you to Sarah. She's over ours, but she's the director for all three as well, the executive director. And we already have a system kind of built in for our students. So if you apply to it, they apply to every scholarship. So it'll be easy to kind of build in one for formerly incarcerated students as well.
oh,
That's
great.
yeah, and that's one of the real positives of working with the community college is that they already have all the modeling in place. So it's not a matter, it's really a matter of us furnishing the funds to the scholarship that they manage.
Yeah.
And yeah, which is really helpful because obviously a Rotary Club isn't going to be highly skilled at that, but having a college that's willing to open their door to our funds, yay.
Definitely.
So,
I saw Sarah today, and she's actually the one who does our scholarship for outreach as well, but every scholarship at the college. So
cool.
I can just give her your contact information, and then or I could give either or, and you can reach out to her. I can have her reach out to you.
Emailing, I think you all have my email, right? Yeah, feel free to email anything that, my meeting is not until September 19th, so that we can certainly arrange maybe to have a couple other people in that meeting so that we're more effective, Sarah or whoever. Yeah.
Sounds good. I'll look up your email and I'll send that right now.
I really appreciate it.
And Scott, since you have all of your board members present, we can do introductions now officially. Just go around and we all know each other. But if you want to do it for the record.
Lanita as well. So fire off, Monique, then, yes.
Okay, so I will start with you, Scott.
Oh, okay. So my name is Scott Parsons. I'm a resident of Moraga here in Contra Costa and a part of course, the CAB and the subcommittee as the chair.
Okay, Mark Thomas.
Yeah, Mark Thomas, I'm in Oakley, California, East County.
Okay, Nikenya Allen.
Good morning, everybody. I am Kenya. I am a resident in Martinez, California. I am a member of the CAB and have been over a year.
Okay, Joel Nicholson Shanks.
Yes, ma'am. My name is Joel Nicholson Shanks, Richmond resident, West County. I've only been here for a month or so.
Lenita Mims.
Good morning, everyone. Lanita Mims. I am a member of the CAB. I live in East County in Oakley, California. And welcome, Joel.
Okay, and I'll defer to you, Crawford, to introduce yourself next.
No, Crawford Carpenter, CAB member.
Okay, and I'm Monique Tate with the Office of Reentry and Justice. So thank you. And then you want to ask if there are any public comments.
That's right. And for public
Not on
comment
the
on
agenda.
any item under the jurisdiction of this subcommittee and the Community Advisory Board, and not on the agenda specifically. All right, well, not hearing any.
I have
Um,
one.
Oh, we do? All right, Lenita.
Yeah. I just wanted to let everybody know I just got off of a Zoom meeting with the National District Attorney's Board and for the people, which is run by Hillary Blunt, who used to be a prosecutor here in California. And Contra Costa County has started a pilot program for reentry, and I'm very excited about that.
Yay. Well, that's good news. Not quite as good as the news the other day when you announced that you were at a barbecue in Pleasant Hill. That was I was hungry when you made that announcement, which wasn't fair.
And we had a board member show up. Terry Dunn came and joined me for a minute.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah,
Oh,
it was
good.
nice.
Good. Well, we're glad you were able to be at that meeting in spite of the fact that you were at a barbecue. So, okay, so the next item that we have on the agenda is approval of the minutes. And I don't know, Monique, if you're able to put those up so that we could just do a quick preview of the July 19th OCEC subcommittee meeting, and there they are. So Monique, the only thing I saw in there, and I don't even think it's probably important to change it. I had misunderstood the date of the planning meeting. So I had said I couldn't attend it because I thought it was the last Monday of the month, when in fact it's the 22nd and this coming Monday, right? And,
Right.
and I will be able to attend it, but I was still hoping if there's any chance, Mark, if you could be there, because I'll be leaving town for 2 weeks and you're going to, in my absence, be the point of contact. So if that's possible for you.
Well, what date was that again?
This coming Monday, the 22nd, and you'd be representing, I'll be there as well. We will be representing the OCEC for the planning agenda for the next month. And is that held at 1 o'clock in the afternoon, Monique?
Yes, it is.
And you'll be sending out, I'm sure, a link so that if Mark can, if you're able to make it, it'd be great, Mark. If you can't, I totally understand.
It looks like I can make it.
Super.
At the
Okay. All right, I'll reflect that in the notes for today's meeting, Scott.
Okay, great. And
Okay.
otherwise, I have no other comment about the minutes. Were there any other concerns? In the absence of hearing any, I will ask for someone to make a motion to approve our minutes from that meeting.
This is Lanita. I would like to make a motion to approve the the minute meetings from the last meeting.
All right, and do we have a second?
I second.
Okay, and before calling a vote on that, I think I kind of had comments before I was supposed to, I guess, looking at the order. of
That's
things.
okay.
Is that all right? Okay.
You can still ask if anyone has additional.
That's
comments.
right. Is there any other comments relative to those minutes? In the absence of any comments, then you can make a call for a vote there, Monique.
Okay, Scott,
Yes?
Mark,
Yes.
Nikinya,
Yes,
Joel,
Yes.
and Lanita.
Yes.
Motion passes unanimously.
Okay. That allows us to move on to our standing agenda item for membership status. And that's page 7 as indicated there. And I don't know if you're going to bring that up. There we go. Thank you, Monique.
You're welcome.
And I had no comments to it, and but there's usually something found by somebody that where I've missed something. So does anyone see anything that is worthy of change on this document at this point? The only comment I would have to that is that Michelle Carter is still indicated as an alternate, and that won't be her official voting membership status of the CAB won't be official until the CCP is able to ratify our decision. And that's correct, right, Monique?
Yes, it is correct.
So
And I'll
looking
update it
at-
upon the approval.
Yeah, so that's why she's still indicated here as an alternate. And we don't need a motion to approve it then, right? It's already.
Correct. So it's just there for your reference to know the status of the membership.
Yeah, which is good. I'm glad that is always included. So we can move on to part 2 of number 4 there, and that's discuss applications for new membership to be considered for nomination for the full CAB. And correct, we don't have any new ones at this point, Monique?
That is correct. At this time, we are working on the back end to update the application process that was sent out a few months ago. And so I'm in the process of doing that, and then we will be able to send it out without due dates. It'll just be a general outreach to always provide outreach for the committee and or the board, the CAB board. And so I'm working on that, and I will provide an update always at this meeting and as well as the full CAB board. But do keep in mind that we anticipate Michelle being voted in and approved. Well, she's been voted in, but approved by CCP. So we would have one alternate vacancy available. So it's not as dire as it has been in previous months, but we do want to always have a pool of potential applicants in the event that we are in a dire situation. So I'm glad that, you're doing your due diligence to at least discuss this on a regular basis.
Yeah. So, Crawford, I don't know if you were aware or not because you were on vacation, but Monique had indicated that they felt that the process for marketing and recruiting was due for some update, and with tech services, I think also their involvement. So that's why if you were looking for overt steps to recruit, they're waiting for the rewrite before they launch out to all the sources that we would normally go
Okay.
to.
The question, how long is the rewrite gonna take?
I don't have a definitive answer for that at this point. I am working diligently to work with IT to get that done, but it should not take very long, but I am in the process of working on that.
Okay, because I was wondering, is it gonna take a month, 2 months? Because if it's gonna
It
take so
shouldn't,
long,
it shouldn't
Okay.
take that long.
okay, all right.
Yeah, it shouldn't take even a month. But
Oh,
if
okay.
you could graciously give me a month, just in case, as a buffer, but I don't think it'll take that long.
Oh, good, we'll give you 2 days. No, I'm just kidding. That's up to Scott. Oh,
So yeah,
oh,
what we're trying to do, if you recall, Crawford, the last application outreach stated due dates, and it's just stated a lot of due dates. And I talked to Patrice and she said that we can make it very generic, where it's an ongoing basis and take away all of that information. So I actually meet with Patrice weekly. So we discussed it yesterday. So it shouldn't take that long.
oh, great.
And I can definitely update Scott and include you on the email to let you know what the progress is.
Sounds.
You don't need to include me on the email. It's Scott's committee.
Okay, okay.
Okay, all right.
Scott isn't as tough, Monique, on this as our chair of the cab.
I know, I see. He's
So-
keeping me on my toes.
I said 3 days, he said 2, so.
Okay.
So in a way, Monique, that really kind of goes right into number 5 on our, the review of the work plan. And we
Right.
certainly reviewed it at the last meeting, and this is kind of a great playbook for sustainability, right? And so what you're sharing is directly related to all of this, because otherwise, I didn't see any areas that were in need of mention other than the recruiting, marketing, and some steps related to that. But is there anything else about the actual work plan that anyone wanted to comment on at this point? I didn't think so either. I thought that, the work plan, we're keeping to it pretty well and pretty tight.
I did want to make a mention of something, Scott. I did update your name where Crawford's name was, except for the Community Outreach Task 1. Update the CAB Outreach Presentation PowerPoint to reflect the CAB 2019 Policy Statement and Platform. Now, I left Crawford's name there along with your name, because is that, Crawford might be able to clarify this for me. Is that going to be for this? Okay, so that was already done. The two of you worked on the PowerPoint. So that's why I added your name. I'm sorry.
No.
Or kept your name there.
Oh, okay, doesn't matter. Scott, I believe the two of us considered that done or completed.
Yes, it is.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
And
okay.
in fact, if you look at most of these, and it's a recurring list of activities. So some occurred even before I came on the committee. But some are recurring and will happen probably twice while I'm on this committee, I'm guessing. So I didn't see anything that needed to be changed, and I think it was smart to put this on here though, because it kind of keeps us all in check, right? As to the process.
And the idea is that we will be getting new members' applications. So that is like the bulk of your outreach.
Okay. Perfect. So I had a question on the, okay, so the outreach presentation PowerPoint, that's completed and that's excellent. And I think, you know, I even review it just to keep my head in the game right as to our mission, right? It's that well put together. I know that we're starting to evolve into the ambassador season, right? I mean, it's not this month, but at the end of September, we're going to start launching, you know, those contacts and starting to arrange for things. And the only thing I wanted to make sure, Crawford, you and I had identified a piece that was missing in that playbook that had to do with the talking points, as I recall. And I know, Monique, you had indicated that it would be back in there. I just didn't want to see that lost in the, you know, in the cycle of things. So has that been updated yet, or is it still okay? So
it's still pending, but thank you for stating that. And I'll reflect it in the notes so that I can make sure I show it to Patrice and make sure that that document is included.
Okay, because
and get her feedback on it.
For those next steps, I know it was well received, even with the omission of that one area. It was well received by the greater cab and all, but I'm, you know, before we evolve into, and I guess I'm kind of moving toward next steps, right? In terms of, but we got such a short agenda, that's pretty much where we're at. I just want to make sure that we've had a chance to, with this committee, to review the completed product before it becomes disseminated. And
okay.
So, you know, what would that be? I am not going to be able to attend, because I'll be gone, the greater cab meeting for September on the 8th. And I don't know, Crawford, if you wanted to see it before the cab one more time with it updated with the stuff that didn't seem to make it, didn't transition in it, but it may be good timing.
Yeah, that would be helpful, Monique, if you could get that at least out by then. And
Okay.
then we'll have a complete package. And then the final step will be, once we determine our talking points for 2022, then Scott and I will circle back, and because you know, a lot of that stuff will stay the same, but then Scott and I can circle back with the 2022 talking points and update the presentation from there, and it's done.
And it's done, yeah. Good,
Yeah.
good. I know that's kind of out of order with the agenda, but I figured that looks like a next step, right? So,
Absolutely.
yeah, I figured I'd just kind of ask that question then. So going back to the greater group, were there any other comments on the work plan review?
I think I have another comment too. So technically, we're looking at the timeline for January through December. So these items are things that are ongoing. So this is completed for the most part. And then this is, so the January through December, so I don't know if any of the members, like for instance, task 3 for Mark, this is done throughout the year. Mark, you can let us know, know at ORJ if there's some support that's needed. which basically is me sending out the application and reaching out to the different agencies for outreach. So that's essentially what that is. But if you have any other input or if you have any other requests of me from the ORJ to provide more support on that.
Okay.
And
Yeah,
you
was
can
there
let me
comment?
know later, but it definitely is something that I guess you all should be discussing, which we have.
Yeah, well, we did at the last meeting in detail, and I guess the only thing that's a little confusing for, a basic mind like mine is, from, okay, community outreach, it says May. And so then some say January, December. It could be confusing to some folks since we do have public visitors come to our meeting. Is that something you only do in January and December, or is it from January to December?
It's January through December.
Yeah,
So
so
it's like all year long this is happening and
Yeah, and I don't know.
input provided by all members.
right. And so Monique, I don't know if there's a better way to at some point, and maybe, for our next outreach meeting, I could prepare some thoughts around this. But when you have, in a sense, a checklist of activities, but they're recurring, I don't even know if a month is important to exactly even indicate, because these are things that we're going to be doing constantly. And I can say this, is that, and I've mentioned it to Crawford, as we get, obviously the ambassador program is going to be our focus here pretty soon as a CAB, and that's going to be fairly consuming for a couple of months. But I would like to start kind of a circuit of any of us that have an interest in going before public groups. And I had indicated Rotary clubs like in West County, where we're lagging a little in interest, or at least applications, that we start a circuit of people going, through that process. And if you look at this, there's not a specific order to things, there doesn't even have to be. These are all activities within recruitment and marketing that are for membership cultivation that are really important. So I don't know, maybe everyone's satisfied with this document. I just found it a little restrictive in terms of its structure. So, maybe I'll have that on an agenda coming up where we can take a look and see if this can be made a little bit more user-friendly. Even though I think it's good as it is, but it could be better maybe. That's really all I had on this subject though, because I think we all know the steps that are going to be critical in us keeping an active list, a pool of candidates that want to be a part of our group, right? So, anyway, any questions or comments on that? Crawford, you have that look.
Yes. Hey, can you go back to that work plan? And it may be helpful, and I'm thinking to our new individuals, particularly to Joel and to Lanita.
Right.
Why not go, for example, where it says timeline? And if something is January to December, you put maybe in capital letters underneath that ongoing. And then and then underneath where it says the May one under community outreach, say completed. And so then we're not staring at something every month.
Right.
If it's done, and then somebody can say,
Crawford, that is a great idea.
well, no, I'm piggybacking off of you saying we need a checklist. And I said, well, darn, he's right. And
yeah, when you look at this, it's your point. If I was Lanita and I was looking at this and I was going to say, okay, how do I play in this? What's my part? or anyone, I would be a little confused by the structure of where I fall in it.
Yes.
So I think for all of us to maybe have some ideas, and at the next CAB meeting, we can maybe kind of do a little workshop on this document. And I think what Crawford just offered up answers probably a third of what I was commenting to. And that's
Okay.
pretty simple.
Okay, I can certainly do that, update it. And like I said, I added your name where Crawford's name was because we changed chairs in between the year. But yeah, I definitely can do that. And if you want to modify, those are just modifications that are just, it makes sense to strike out and say completed, or like a line to strike through it, complete it, and then up or ongoing for the other ones throughout the year. But if you want to actually change the outcome or revise the outcome goals because you have new members, then at that point you can provide, everyone can provide input, and then you would vote upon that, because this item was voted upon, but
Okay.
it's still a fluid document that can be changed based on the needs of what's happening in the committee. So just keep that in mind as you continue to have your work session and talk about the outcome goals. If we make changes there, which is totally up to you as a group, then we would make it a voting item that we've revised the work plan. But I could definitely do ongoing and complete it, because that does make sense.
And that would be under the column marked timeline.
Timeline, yes.
Yes,
Mhm.
okay, fine. And you know
Yeah.
what? Oh, excuse me, somebody, I don't want to interrupt you.
No, go.
Oh,
You have it.
okay, I looked again at the community outreach. I would personally, I would just as soon you take my name off of that, because this is yes, Scott and I worked on this together, but this is what OCEC has done. And I just as soon take my name off of that, if you don't mind, and Scott.
Okay.
And yeah, hey, it's your committee and all of you did the work, or however you want to do it. I was,
And to your point, Crawford, it's less important too, the names, as from an audit or compliance standpoint on this work plan for 2022, be nice, as you stated, have completed on those that are done.
yeah,
So we don't need to reread it. And in this, you almost feel a need to read each square, each meeting.
yes.
And there's squares in here that don't need that.
Okay.
So, and so just so you're aware, Monique, for the September 20th OCEC meeting, this will be one of the agenda items that I'd like to see us spend a little more time on, and then we'll get a draft and together, and then at the next one we can vote on it, and we'll have something.
Okay.
You know, all this stuff is ongoing as we professionalize what we do, and I'm glad to have the input that I've heard so far, because I'm not the only one that sees this as maybe a little arduous to read through each time. So Monique, in terms of next steps, we really got through our agenda rather quickly, and I'm okay with that. There's no reason to keep people occupied in a meeting beyond what's necessary, but I'd also like committee members that maybe don't, there's nothing here they want to comment to, but there's something else they'd like to comment to. So is it next steps? Is that where that occurs, or?
Yes, I could certainly state that. I have the next steps to work on the work plan as far as revising it, updating it, making those modifications. And then the next item could definitely be input from the members of how they would like to update or revise the work plan to make it more user-friendly, or to make it.
I guess kind of what I'm commenting to also is we have a fixed agenda, which is great. But any other new items that somebody would like to bring up in the meeting, I'd like to see in our agenda kind of a place for that, so that if, let's pretend Joel wanted to bring something up that isn't on this agenda, but it's important to the group. And I don't know how this all goes with the fact that we have to keep to an agenda that's been posted and all, but is there an area here other than announcements where kind of surprise information can be put out? Or information that, let's say Mark wanted to share something with the group, but it's not an announcement per se, or had some ideas. Is there, in other agendas that you've worked with, is there a place that would easily fit into?
Well, it depends on what it is, but we do have the number 1, welcome, introduction, and announcements. And generally, those announcements come from the board members.
Okay.
And then the second bullet point, which sometimes we interchange them, but public comment from on any item under the jurisdiction of the community advisory board and not on this agenda. So like I said, it can fall within those 2 items.
Okay.
And then certainly next steps, if someone wants to talk about something that they'd like to propose as a next step, as
Okay,
you
good.
certainly did mention that with the work plan, but as a board or body, you definitely can state it, I would say, in those 3 areas. And then the next steps, that makes it an agenda item for the next meeting.
For the next meeting, perfect. I just don't know if anyone else was confused. Maybe Joel and Lanita, you already knew that, but I didn't. And you know, I think sometimes we just assume we all know certain things, and so I didn't know where it best fits, but you just answered it beautifully. If it, you know, it can go into 1, 2, or 6, depending. And as long as we're not creating a new agenda item for this meeting where there wasn't public notice, I guess, you know, we have to be careful with that. But to number 1 is pretty open with announcements. So with that said, I've shared what I want to see on the next agenda. Is there any comments from anyone else in the group that has something they'd like to see on here? Okay.
May I comment then? I didn't want to interrupt. You know,
Oh, please do, Crawford, anytime.
we were supposed to, each subcommittee was supposed to go over their charter, their standing committee charter. I didn't see that on the agenda for this month.
So that could be my oversight on that, because when Monique and I talked about agendas, we didn't get that in here. And
Could
so,
we then just do it for next steps for the next meeting?
that's perfect.
Yeah, and then at least the members here have the heads up that you're going to take a look at your, the Outreach and Community Engagement Committee charter. And the real key is, do you want to maybe trim down the purpose or leave it as is and really look at responsibilities? You got 8 of them. Are all of those 8 responsibilities appropriate?
Right.
And is it too wordy?
Yeah.
And again, that's your call. But the whole intent was each committee will be looking at their charters. So if you'd be kind enough to do that, that would be most helpful, because then Dale and I are working together on the entire guidelines for CAB. So if we get your input from each committee, we've already gone through the major stuff. And then we will get in touch with staff, Monique, and Patrice. And then after that, we'll come back to the entire board so that
So
the
you'll
board
synthesize
yeah.
all the input.
Yeah, so that'll be the process. So it would be helpful If you've got more pressing needs, no problem. This is,
No.
hey, if there are 10 items on your agenda, this is number 11. So when I say 11, I mean, it doesn't really register, but it would be something to help Dale and I as we are moving through revising or updating, not to revise. but-
Absolutely. And Monique, that can definitely be a September 20th
Perfect. Perfect.
agenda item.
I do want to ask Crawford, or just bring it to everyone's attention that when you say the charter, you're referring to operating guidelines, right?
Well, in the operating guidelines, each standing committee has a charter.
Right.
And the charter for, here, let me pull it up here. The charter for OCEC is page 9 of 9. So
Okay.
just take a look at that one page. That's all we need you to look at.
Okay, so I still want to mention that depending on what the changes are or updating, we may have to go through county council, but I will ask Patrice.
Oh, no, wait a minute. No, again, just do your step. Dale and I
Okay.
have the other steps, because after you guys do your step, then we're gonna talk to you
Okay,
and to Patrice. Then after
Okay.
that, we realize we've got to go through county legal. We understand that.
okay,
And
all right.
then what we want to do is get the meat. Then once we get the meat, we're going to put it on the table, and wiser people are going to tell us what are the next steps. But we got to
Okay.
get the meat first,
Okay.
rather than taking one or two things. You go to county, and then they spend a lot of time, and then we go back with 3 or 4 or whatever. We want to
Okay.
get a package together. That's our goal.
Okay, all right.
So it would be helpful to what Crawford wants, that we all come to that meeting really ready to kind of have a workshop on that document, right? So
Yes.
that could be redistributed, and I don't mean to recreate work, but if we could all end up with a copy of our part.
Absolutely, I can definitely
Oh,
send it
I
out.
appreciate it, Monique.
Okay,
Yeah. So otherwise, that is all I have. So Monique, is there something else you need before we adjourn?
no, I have the items for next steps, and I'll update them in the notes. And I'll send out the item, the charter, page 9, to
Page
all
9.
of the OCEC meeting members.
Cool. I really appreciate that. Well, good. Now, we don't need to agree on adjournment then, right? I don't have to get a vote for that.
No.
And I've never seen anyone want to stay at a meeting longer than it has to be, so. Great. Well, listen, thank you, everyone. And to my earlier announcement about the scholarship, Joel and Kenya, thank you. And anyone else that can think of something that can help my club, start to funnel a revenue stream into something positive like that. I appreciate your comments and look forward to your input. So.
Yes, Scott, just to let you know, she did email us back and said she looks forward to talking to you to discuss how you can implement that.
Great.
I kind of lost your comment. Was that Joel?
Yes, sir.
The volume kind of went down. So let me, what was that? Say it one more time.
Yeah, I was just letting you know she did respond to the email and said she looks forward to talking to you
Oh,
to
cool.
see how she can implement your scholarship.
Oh, great. Oh, thank you, Joel. Okay. Well, good. With that information, we're going to adjourn our meeting, and thank you, everyone, for your input. So,
Thank you. Bye-bye.
bye.